So I've been waiting for this movie for the longest goddamn time, and I was so excited to see it. Last night, I saw it around 9:30. And good God, dude, the first 10 minutes of this movie had me hooked. Like, overall, the movie is fantastic. If you are a Batman fan, if you loved any of the Batman movies from before, any of them, let's go watch this one, and you will most definitely love this one. If you just like those Batman movies, you could go see this one, and you'll most likely love it. You do need to go into it knowing that it's a slow burn. It's not like a action fest, even though there is action present throughout the entire movie. It's a very action-packed movie. Like, it definitely helps the pacing when, there's fight scenes every other 15 to 20 minutes. There's pretty good pacing in this movie. It's incredible. The fact that this 3-hour movie felt like 2 hours. And, the person I went to the bathroom, came back and was like, damn, it's 11. I'm like, really? I thought it was like 10:30. It felt like 30 minutes passed by, and it was already like 2 hours, and it was like fantastic. I really do love the pacing of this movie. It's a perfect paced Batman movie. Overall, the action and the acting is great. The acting is phenomenal. Like, Robert Pattinson blew it out of the water as Bruce Wayne. Like, this is a completely different Bruce Wayne that has so much more emotional depth to him. And there's a lot that's shown in this movie that shows his, emotional background and why he's like this and why he is the way he is. So secluded and very isolated, very quiet and somewhat passive when he's Bruce Wayne. And it's very interesting to see, because I feel like when they go throughout the trilogy, he's going to slowly evolve into the charming Bruce Wayne. And when we go back and look at let's say the memorial scene for the mayor, like when he's getting confronted by the camera people, when people are taking pictures of him, he's just turning away and not looking at them, not even doing it. I feel like when we get to like the second or the third movie, when he starts smiling, we'll look back on that and be like, damn, that's a big character shift. That's a big character change. So I really can't wait for that moment in the next movies, which they're most likely going to do. So, the cinematography, which I have to talk about for a second, really, oh my God, it blew my mind. Like, it was so good. There's a shot where Bruce is looking at Selina with binoculars through, like, in her apartment. And you see like a close-up shot of Bruce looking through the binoculars, just like his eye. Dude, that was one of the most beautiful shots in the entire movie. And it was just literally a close-up shot of Bruce Wayne in his eye. But it looked really, really good. I don't know how to describe it. There's just shots throughout the entire movie. Like, of course, Penguin being upside down in the car. The entire chase scene had a really good cinematography. The overall detective scenes also presented like Batman in a very like weird way, where he's just kind of just looking everywhere and just like moving everywhere. It's really, really interesting the way he's presented too. And through the cinematography, they show how he's like looking at different pieces of, the puzzle. And it's very awesome. I genuinely also love the detective work in the fact that Jim Gordon is a very big part of helping Batman get to these places that need to be, analyzed. And I really like their partnership in this movie. I don't think a lot of people are talking about it. Like, I feel like it's an underrated thing in this movie, but it is one of the highlights of this movie for me. I really love what they did with Jim Gordon and Batman's relationship. Really feels like, the animated series, especially when they're in the scene and Batman punches him, like in the GCPD, and they're coming up with a plan. They're like, "Not if you punch me, you can get out of here." And they just overall, and then they come back and he's just like, "You didn't have to hit me that hard." He was like, "You could pull that punch." He was like, "I did." And it was just, their partnership and their relationship is great. And I can't wait to see what they do with it in further movies. Hopefully they expand upon it in the GCPD show, which I really hope has, like, Jim Gordon as one of the main characters, and of course Batman in there as well. That would be a very nice cameo to have. Of course, Batman in a Gotham show, like, why not? Overall, I think that Catwoman was great in this movie. It was a kind of a big shocker when, they revealed more about her that I didn't think they would do. Like, they really gave a little bit more backstory to her in a way that wasn't, it was kind of teased in the comics in many ways, but there was more backstory to her now. And when you watch the movie, you might be a little bit surprised. And, it's really good for her character. Falcone is also a character that I didn't expect to really think had a big role in this movie, but he really, really did in a small way. it was still really good to see him in this movie. And overall, I really liked his character. And Penguin too. I mean, there's just so many characters in this movie that are just so fleshed out. There's just so many good things about, you know, the world building in this movie. And I don't even have enough compliments for Matt Reeves, because Matt Reeves' direction for what he did with this was so perfect. It's quite literally the most perfect Batman movie that we have ever gotten. Like, it's the most perfect representation of his character. And if you want somebody to be like, oh, what's Batman like in the comics? Can you show me a visual representation of that? Show them this movie. Like, some things are a little bit off, but overall, the general basis of this movie and the whole representation of Batman and his character is so perfect that I just I don't even know what else to say about it. Like, it's just to the T. Now, the music also amplified everything. Like, it was so good. The first fight scene, literally the background music sounds like Arkham. Like, I'm not even kidding you. It is one for one like a Arkham background music when you're going up against thugs on the street in Arkham, like Arkham Knight or Arkham City. You know, the background music that plays. That's exactly the same. I swear to God, it's the same exact music, and it's so awesome to hear. Like, it has to be some type of reference, because that's just perfect. But, you know, overall, the main theme for the Batman is so sad. It's really somber. You know, it's somewhat kind of depressing in many ways when they use it. And I really like when they use it. You know, it's not just all over the place. You can really hear it spread out through the movie. And, you know, just the ba dun dun da 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 da. It's, oh my God, it's so iconic. It's so good. When it's just, it gives you goosebumps when you're in the theater just listening to that. It's so incredible. Catwoman's theme is good. So is Riddler's theme. That one's just kind of creepy. And overall, Riddler, I don't even know if I touched on the Riddler yet. The Riddler is so good in this movie. Like, he's not like the perfect version of the Riddler that people want to see, the top hat, the cane, or whatever. But like, to what they were trying to do with like the Zodiac inspiration and the whole, like, he's just completely psychotic. Like, he's legitimately a psychopath. Like, it's not even like even fair to compare him to like the Joker or whatever, because he's not like the Joker, but to a point he kind of like is, but with riddles, and he's just fucking crazy, and it's really, really good. His performance in this movie, Paul Dano, really blew out of the water with the Riddler. He's creepy, he's weird, he's like, you know, really obsessive, and it's really a perfect Riddler. So overall, everything about this movie, every character choice, every casting choice was perfect. The music for this movie was perfect. The performances were perfect. Like, Jesus Christ, I almost cried between a scene with Bruce Wayne and Alfred. Like, I don't think, besides maybe The Dark Knight Rises, which, I mean, like, yeah, that was like one scene that really got me between Bruce and Alfred, I guess. I guess there might be one in like Batman and Robin that people would consider good or whatever when Alfred's dying. But man, this scene in this movie, oh my gosh, it was so good. And it's such a good point. It's such a good point for Bruce and Alfred. I love it. So when you see that, you know which one I'm talking about, because it almost brought a tear to my eye. It was so good. Overall, the emotional hits of this movie and everything about this movie, I can't think of one negative. I'm really, really trying to think of about one negative. Besides, I wanted more. I wanted this to be a full 3-hour movie, and then the last 7 minutes be like credits, like 3 hours and 7 minutes. I feel like it could have answered a little bit more questions, I guess. There's some things that are left unsaid, and there are some things that are built up that kind of seems like they're doing some comic stuff that would be interesting to see, because it probably hasn't been done besides like maybe once in a movie that I'm not gonna spoil. But like, it definitely can be done better, and in a way that really Matt Reeves has built up, where these villains can really do something interesting, and I love it. All together, they can really do something cool, and I love the world that Matt Reeves has built up. And, you know, if I, again, that negative about it not answering questions isn't that big of a negative either, because you can just assume that things will kind of go back to normal in a way in Gotham and then get worse again. So, you know, that's something that everybody can answer. You know, the things that have happened in this movie, there are repercussions and things that are going to be, you know, set up in the next movie, and things that will be answered in the next movie that weren't answered in this movie. And I feel like that's one thing that, like, even though they had a long runtime, there were some things that were left unanswered. And that's not a bad thing. I really love this movie. There's not enough compliments to even give out for this movie because they did a phenomenal job overall. I really want to go see it again. I don't know when I'm going to have time. Maybe Monday or Wednesday, but I'm going to go see that shit again. Because, God, dude, that was so good. Like, it's just, there's not a really bad moment. There's not really a overall, like, scene that isn't terrible. I think Bruce Wayne or Batman is in every scene in this movie. Like, I'm trying to think about one scene besides maybe, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's somewhere in the beginning of the movie that Bruce Wayne isn't in a scene. So it's a very Bruce Wayne Batman heavy movie, and Batman's in it a lot. And that really makes for a very, very fun Batman movie. The obsession that Bruce Wayne has with Batman is just great. And I recommend this to everybody. I'm going to recommend this to everybody that I work with right now. I'm going to recommend this to my mom. I'm going to recommend this to my fucking friends. I'm going to recommend this to my grandma. And I'm going to recommend it to you. Please go watch this movie. It's a 10 out of 10. Like, for at least me as a Batman fan, somebody who's been expecting this movie to be great, but not this great. Like, I didn't think it would be like, I was like really hopeful and I was holding out that expectation, but I didn't think it would be this great, and it really, really is. It blew my expectations out of the water, and I love it. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more. I will be talking about more Batman stuff in the future, like a spoiler talk, because I was very, very held back. I couldn't say a lot of things, and it really made me mad. Even the wind can tell that I'm angry. It's really blowing my shit around, and I'm upset because I can't talk about spoilers in this video. But I will talk about spoilers in the next video, or a video coming up, because I do have a lot of Batman topics I want to talk about. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace out.